WMAQ-TV. Virtual Channel 5 is an NBC-owned and operated television station located in Chicago, Illinois, United States. The station is owned by NBCUniversal Owned Television Stations subsidiary of NBC Universal, and is part of a duopoly with Telemundo station WSNS-TV. It is also co-owned with regional sports network Comcast SportsNet Chicago. WMAQ-TV maintains studio facilities and business offices at the NBC Tower on North Columbus Drive in the city's Streeterville neighborhood, and its transmitter is located atop the Willis Tower on South Wacker Drive in the Chicago Loop. In the few areas of the eastern United States where an NBC station is not receivable over the air, WMAQ-TV is available on satellite via DirecTV and Dish Network. It is also carried on Comcast Xfinity, RCN, WOW and at an AMP-TU Channel 5, with an high-definition feed on Comcast Xfinity Digital Channel 188, RCN Digital Channel 605, WOW Digital Channel 203 and at an AMP-TU Digital Channel 1005, and on certain cable providers in markets where an NBC affiliate is not available. History. The station first signed on the air on October 8, 1948, under the call letters WNBQ. It was the fourth television station to sign on in the Chicago market, which signed on 3 weeks earlier on September 17. WGN-TV, which debuted 6 months earlier in April, WBKB, which debuted in September 1946, and was the last of the city's 4 commercial VHF stations to launch. It was also the third of NBC's 5 original owned and operated television stations to begin operations, after WNBT in New York City and WNBW in Washington, D.C., WNBK in Cleveland and KNBH in Los Angeles did not sign on until October 31, 1948 and January 16, 1949, respectively. The station initially broadcast a minimum of 2 hours of programming per day. Prior to the station's sign-on, the station originally was going to designate WNBY as its call letters. However, at NBC's request, the Federal Communications Commission approved an application filed by the network to change the station's calls to WNBQ, a move that was announced on March 3, 1948. NBC officials cited the need to avoid possible confusion with WMAQ AM/FM competitor WMBI and to obtain a call sign that was closer to co-owned NBC Red Network radio station WMAQ was the reasoning for the change. The station's first midweek broadcast came the month following its sign-on, when Paul Winchell and Joseph Dunninger were featured on the NBC variety series, The Floor Show. The half-hour program was recorded via Kinescope and rebroadcast on WNBQ at 8:30 p.m. on Thursdays. WMAQ-TV originated several programs for the NBC television network from its original studio facilities, a 170,000-square-foot studio on the 19th floor of the Merchandise Mart on the city's near north side, during the 1950s, including Cutler, Fran, and Ollie, featuring Bert Illstrom and Fran Allison, Garraway at Large, starring Dave Garraway, and Stud's Place, hosted by Studs Terkel. Television critics referred to the broadcasts, often low budget with few celebrity guests but a good deal of inventiveness, as examples of the Chicago School of Television. The station installed equipment to produce and transmit its programming in color in late 1953. WNBQ's first notable color telecast occurred in January 1954, when the station broadcast NBC's telecast of the Rose Bowl Parade in the format. Channel 5 aired its first local program to be broadcast in color, when John Knott's How Does Your Garden Grow? Debuted in March 1955, which utilized time-lapse color film. On April 15, 1956, WNBQ became the first television station in the world to broadcast all of its programming in color, an event described by Broadcasting Telecasting as a daring break through the black and white curtain, completing a project that cost more than $1.25 million to make the upgrades. The first color telecast from the station on that date was Wide World, which was transmitted to 110 NBC stations across the country. Although NBC had long owned the WMAQ radio stations, the television station continued to maintain call letters separate from that used by its co-owned radio outlets. This changed on August 31, 1964, when the network changed the station's calls to WMAQ-TV. The calls of its sister radio station were initially assigned by the government, but went on to form the phrase, "We must ask questions," which the radio station took on as its motto in the 1920s. Although the station's role as a program provider to NBC diminished in the 1960s, WMAQ-TV gathered and distributed more than 200 feeds of news footage per month from overseas and the central United States to NBC News. On December 3, 1985, NBC signed a $100 million plus agreement to lease office space in a 3-story annex to the north of a planned 34-story, 1 million square foot skyscraper, a project developed by the Equitable Life Assurance Society and Tishman Speyer Properties that would be constructed as part of the City Front Center development on the northwest corner of Columbus Drive and North Water Street, in which WMAQ-TV's operations would occupy 251,000 square feet of the building. Under the plans for the project, NBC was given the option of acquiring an approximately 25% interest in the building. On October 1, 1989, the station officially relocated its operations from the Merchandise Mart after 40 years and began broadcasting from the NBC Tower, located on 455 North Columbus Drive. Ratings for WMAQ-TV's newscasts overtook those of WBBM-TV in the 1980s, but the station could not dethrone market leader WLS-TV during the period. In 1987, WMAQ-TV became the first station in the Chicago metropolitan area to adopt its real-time closed captioning for the hearing impaired in all of its newscasts. 7 years later, in 1994, the closed captioning service was later added to the station's morning newscast. In 1995, WMAQ-TV changed its on-air branding from Channel 5 to NBC 5 Chicago. Additionally, became the first station in Chicago to launch its website, which provided news reports and information on the station's community initiatives and on-air staff members. The station expanded its internet offerings in 2000, when they branded it as Peacock Club. For most of its years, the station did include the network's logo next to theirs, branding solely with the channel number and/or call letters vocally and visually until 1995. The station is among the few in the nation which has their logo in a transparent bug with time and temperature at all times, including NBC Network, syndicated and news programming, though not during commercial breaks of paid programming. In the fall of 2001, NBC television stations buys WSNS-TV outright, result in creating a duopoly with WMAQ-TV as a byproduct. byproduct of the purchase, NBC converted that station into an owned amp of Telemundo, which NBC had purchased earlier that year, creating the two stations as the first commercial television stations in Chicago. WSNS-TV subsequently integrated its operations into WMAQ-TV's NBC Tower facilities. On September 6, 2003, WMAQ agreed to lease 4,000 square feet of space at 401 North Michigan Avenue, with the intent to build a street-side studio for the Chicago market, the first to be used for live broadcasting purposes by a Chicago television station. On February 26, 2004, WMAQ-TV garnered national attention when Katie Couric, Al Roker, and Lester Holt hosted The Today Show on City Front Plaza to unveil the station's street-side studio. The station's morning and noon newscasts were broadcast from the Michigan Avenue facility until February 2013, when the studio was closed and the space within the 401 Michigan Avenue building was put up for sale, at which time production of both newscasts was moved back to the NBC Tower. In the fall of 2008, WMAQ-TV's website was relaunched, including a new layout as part of a larger revamp of the websites of NBC's entire O&AMP station group. In February 2015, WMAQ and the other NBC-owned stations offered live, web-based streaming of programming to subscribers of participating cable and satellite television providers, as provided through the TV Everywhere mobile apps. 2016 Dish Network retransmission dispute. On March 15, 2016, NBCUniversal pulled the signals of WMAQ-TV, WSNS-TV along with co-owned cable channels USA Network, Bravo, Sci-Fi, MSNBC and CNBC from Dish Network systems in Chicago metropolitan area due to a dispute between NBC and Dish, in which Dish Network claimed that NBCUniversal demanded to renew its carriage of 10 NBC-owned stations and 16 Telemundo-owned stations, including those removed due to the dispute. 3 days later, on March 18, 2016, the company announced it will continue to carry WMAQ-TV, WSNS-TV and 5 other cable channels for another 10 days while seeking arbitration from the FCC. Digital television. Digital channels. The station's digital channel is multiplexed. WMAQ-TV also maintains a mobile DTV feed of digital subchannel 5.2, which broadcasts at 1.83 Mbit per second. On January 1, 2012, Universal Sports transitioned into a cable and satellite exclusive service, causing its affiliates to replace the network and remove the channel from their digital signals entirely, with WMAQ deleting digital subchannel 5.3 as a result of the loss of Universal Sports. WMAQ launched digital subchannel 5.2 as a charter affiliate of NBC Weather Plus in January 2005. The network ceased national broadcasts on December 1, 2008, although the subchannel continued to utilize its local weather maps and traffic reports as NBC Plus afterward. Raw coverage of various live events, including Barack Obama's victory rally and Grant Park and Governor Rod Blagojevich's impeachment trial, have also been carried on 5.2. On November 1, 2010, WMAQ launched NBC Chicago Non-Stop, a news and lifestyle network featuring local programming and programs produced by corporate sister LXTV. NBC Non-Stop was relaunched as Cozy TV, which soft launched on December 20, 2012. Analog to digital conversion. WMAQ-TV shut down its analog signal over VHF Channel 5 on June 12, 2009, the official date in which full-power television stations in the United States transitioned from analog to digital broadcasts under federal mandate. The station's digital signal remained on its pre-transition UHF Channel 29. Through the use of PSIP, digital television receivers display the station's virtual channel as its former VHF analog Channel 5. From June 13 to July 12, 2009, WMAQ-TV had simulcast most of its newscasts as a contributor to WWMECA's analog Lifeline service for the Chicago area. In an unprecedented four-station partnership, the Lifeline programming provided on analog UHF Channel 23 included WMAQ's weekday and Saturday morning, weeknight 6 o'clock p.m. and weekend 5 o'clock p.m. newscasts, along with WGN-TV's 9 o'clock p.m. newscast. The Lifeline continued only as a simulcast of entertainment programming from WWME's sister station WCIU-TV until January 2011, when it switched to a simulcast of WCIU's The U2 sub-channel programming. As typical for a network-owned station, WMAQ-TV generally carries the vast majority of the NBC network schedule. However, the station does not clear the entirety of NBC's weekday overnight lineup, and airs the NBC Kids block on a 1-hour delay due to the 9 o'clock a.m. hour of its Saturday morning newscast, resulting in the third hour of the block being shifted to Sundays whenever network sports telecasts are scheduled on Saturdays during the 12 o'clock p.m. hour in order to meet FCC educational programming quotas. Syndicated programming broadcast by WMAQ-TV include Access Hollywood, Extra and The Ellen DeGeneres Show. WMAQ-TV serves as the flagship station for Steve Harvey station Oddities for many years. WMAQ carried Days of Our Lives at 1 o'clock p.m., NBC's default Central Time Zone slot for the program. On September 8, 2014, the soap opera was moved 1 early to noon after the station's midday newscast moved to 11 o'clock a.m. on that date. WMAQ-TV is one of 4 NBC-owned and operated stations that does not carry Access Hollywood Live. The talk show spin-off of Access Hollywood aired from the program's NBCO and AMPO debut in September 2011 until September 2014, when all 4 stations dropped the program due to low local viewership in those markets. For many years, WMAQ and its sister Telemundo station WSNS-TV aired the Chicago Auto Show preview show every first week of February until 2015, when the preview show moved to ABC-owned station WLS-TV and Univision-owned station WGBODT. On September 17, 2015, WMAQ-TV and the City of Chicago announced a partnership to broadcast the city's New Year's Eve celebrations entitled Chi-Town Rising. Since its inaugural event in 2015, the station serves as official English-language carrier, while sister Telemundo station WSNS-TV serves as official Spanish-language carrier of the event. Because of its commitments to air the event, the station has had to reschedule NBC late-night programs preempted or delayed by the telecast of the New Year's Eve event. Current syndicated programming produced in Chicago: Steve Harvey. Nationally syndicated talk show produced at WMAQ-TV's NBC Tower studios, and syndicated by NBCUniversal Television Distribution. Former syndicated programming produced in Chicago: The Jenny Jones Show. Nationally syndicated talk show produced at the NBC Tower, and syndicated by Warner Brothers. Domestic television distribution: it aired weekdays at 2:00 p.m. until 1993, when the show moved to independent station WGN-TV. The Jerry Springer Show. Nationally syndicated talk show also produced at the NBC Tower until 2009, and syndicated by NBC Universal Television Distribution. It aired weekdays at 2:00 p.m. until 1998, when the program moved to Fox-owned and operated station WFLD. The program currently airs on independent stations WCIU-TV and WMEU-CD. Quickwits. Nationally syndicated improv comedy series produced at the NBC Tower. It aired Saturdays at 12:00 a.m. until the program's cancellation on September 4, 1999. Merv Griffin's Crosswords game show that was originally set to be produced at the NBC Tower and produced by Yanni Brune Entertainment, Merv Griffin Entertainment, and program partners. Sports Action Team, a half-hour comedy series produced at the NBC Tower and produced by Towers Productions, Inc. and MGM Television. Other WMAQ-TV produced programs: 24/7 City Secrets, local lifestyle program hosted by Katie Keogh and Pete McMurray. Former WMAQ-TV produced programs: In the Loop with the Village, national lifestyle program originally distributed exclusively to NBC-owned and operated stations. WMAQ-TV assumed production responsibilities for the program from Miami sister station WTVJ in 2007. It aired locally weekdays at 11:00 a.m. until the program's cancellation on March 28, 2008. Sports programming. In recent years, WMAQ-TV has carried select Chicago Bears preseason and regular season games, until NBC re-established its relationship with the NFL with the network's acquisition of the Sunday Night Football package from ESPN in 2006. These marked the only NFL telecasts on the station following the loss of NBC's rights to the American Football Conference in 1998. Until the preseason game rights moved to WFLD in 2008, the station has had to reschedule NBC network programs preempted by the preseason and any cable-originated Bears telecasts, a situation atypical for a network-owned station outside of breaking news and severe weather coverage necessitating such situations. During the regular season, Bears games are rotated between WBBM-TV, WLS-TV and WCIU-TV and especially WFLD, from 2001 to 2002 and again since 2008. WMAQ has served as an official broadcaster of the Chicago Marathon, which is held annually in October. Because of its commitments to air the event, the station has had to reschedule NBC News programs preempted or delayed by the telecast of the marathon. From 2002 to 2008, WMAQ served as the official sponsor of the Chicago Blackhawks. The station displayed its in-ring advertisements during all of the NHL franchises' home games held at the United Center, until NBC re-established its relationship with the NHL with the acquisition of the league's broadcast package from ESPN in 2005. WMAQ occasionally runs special editions of its newscasts or its highlight program Sports Sunday to cover Blackhawks games that are broadcast nationally by NBC or through the sister regional sports network Comcast SportsNet Chicago.